Okay, so we all have those big goals, right? We're driven, we want to get things done, but sometimes focusing feels like a pipe dream.
Totally.
And consistency, yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Well, in this deep dive, we're going to figure out how to cut through all the noise and get to the bottom of why concentration wavers and what we can do to stick with the things that really matter.
Right.
We dug into research that covers psychological, physiological, and environmental factors that can be real roadblocks for people.
Absolutely.
Our mission today is to pinpoint the real culprits and give you some actionable strategies that actually work.
I think the really fascinating thing is that it's not just one thing, it's a whole system.
Right.
Psychologically, we know that stress and anxiety are like focus thieves.
Yet steal it right out of your brain.
Exactly. And then low mood and burnout, well, they just zap all your energy and your motivation.
Yeah.
The sources we looked at even touched on how fear of failure can actually subconsciously derail you.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, you're working against yourself without even realizing it.
It's like self-sabotage.
In a way, yeah.
Okay, so we talked about the mental side of things, but our bodies play a huge role too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like if you're not getting enough sleep,
Oh,
or not eating right, like not getting enough of those key nutrients like iron and B12,
Yep.
your brain's basically trying to run a marathon on an empty tank.
Yeah, it's sputtering.
It's like puttering outright.
Yeah.
And even hormonal shifts can mess with your ability to concentrate.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, think about it. The modern world is basically designed to break our focus.
Yeah, it's like a distraction factory.
Right. We've got notifications coming at us from every direction.
Yeah, ding.
Our workspaces are cluttered. We're trying to juggle a million things at once.
Multitasking mayhem.
Exactly. And then on top of that, even seemingly small things like that extra cup of coffee or those late night snacks can actually have a surprising impact on your focus and energy.
Okay, so we've laid out the problems,
The more bad news.
the bad news. So now let's talk solutions.
Let's get to the good stuff.
Let's talk about taking back control, starting with focus.
All right, focus time.
The research points to mindfulness as a key player here.
Oh, yeah. Mindfulness is powerful.
Like even just taking a few moments to be aware of your breath can train your brain to stay present.
I love that.
One source actually found that short, even imperfect attempts at mindfulness were better for improving focus than longer forced sessions.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's not about being perfect, it's about the intention.
It's about showing up.
Exactly.
And that mental training, mindfulness and all that needs a strong physical foundation.
Right, the mind-body connection.
So we're talking 7 to 9 hours of sleep-eating, brain-supporting foods, lots of omega-3s, and at least 30 minutes of daily exercise.
The basics.
It's not just good advice, it's crucial for how our brains function.
It's like upgrading your mental hardware.
I like that analogy.
So we got the mental and physical foundation.
Check and check.
And what about our surroundings?
The environment.
Minimizing distractions is absolutely key.
Gotta get rid of that noise.
So silence those notifications. Declutter your workspace.
Clean desk, clear mind, right?
And then there's this concept of attention residue.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Have you ever noticed how even after you've switched tasks, your brain kind of lingers on the previous one?
Oh, all the time.
That's attention residue, and it makes it so much harder to fully engage with the new thing you're trying to do.
It's like you're dragging that last task around with you.
So one technique that can really help with this is time blocking.
Oh, yeah. Time blocking is great.
It's basically dedicating specific blocks of time to single tasks.
So you're giving your full attention to one thing at a time.
Exactly. No more multitasking mayhem.
And speaking of multitasking, trying to do a million things at once really spreads your cognitive resources thin.
Yeah, you're basically diluting your brain power.
When it comes to consistency, structured approaches can be incredibly helpful.
So give us some examples.
Well, there's a Pomodoro Technique.
I love that one.
It breaks your work into focused intervals with short breaks to help you maintain momentum.
Yeah, it's like built-in brain breaks.
Then there's the Eisenhower Matrix, which helps you prioritize tasks by urgency and importance.
So you know what to focus on first.
And then there's the Eat the Frog method,
I've heard of that one.
which is all about tackling your most challenging task first thing in the morning.
Get it out of the way.
Exactly. You get that sense of accomplishment early on, and it sets you up for a more productive day.
Okay, I love these frameworks, but they only work if you have clear goals. Right?
Oh, absolutely. Goals are crucial.
So how do we set ourselves up for success in that department?
Well, there's the SMART approach.
SMART goals. I love it.
It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
So it's like a roadmap for your goals.
Exactly.
Okay, so you've got your SMART goal. Now what?
Well, you got to break it down.
Break it down.
Yeah, take that big goal and break it down into smaller, more manageable steps.
bite-sized pieces.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Their small wins are crucial for staying motivated.
So it's like you're building momentum with each small victory.
And that motivation, that's where habits come in.
Oh, habits are so important?
They're the foundation of consistency.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, have you ever heard of the habit loop?
I have actually, yeah.
It's the cycle of cue, routine, reward.
So like I see my running shoes by the door, that's the cue.
Yes,
I
exactly.
go for a run, that's the routine. And then I feel good afterward, that's the reward.
You got it. And once you understand that loop, you can start to build new habits or even break old ones.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do we build those good habits?
We'll start small.
Small, like how small?
Think tiny, like atomic habits.
Atomic habits, I love that.
It's about making those changes so small that they're almost too easy to fail.
Oh, that's smart.
And then try habit stacking, which is basically linking a new habit to an existing one.
So like after I brush my teeth, I do 10 push-ups.
Exactly. Or after you make your coffee, you meditate for 5 minutes.
Okay, so start small, habit stack, but
Yeah.
is there anything else we can do to make those new habits stick?
Yeah. You want to make those new habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying.
I like that. So it's like setting yourself up for success.
Exactly.
Now you mentioned intrinsic motivation.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Why is that so vital for consistency?
Because when you're intrinsically motivated, you're doing things because you genuinely enjoy them and you find them personally satisfying.
You're not doing it for the external rewards.
Right. It's not about the praise or the recognition. It's about the feeling you get from doing the activity itself.
That makes a lot of sense.
And a great way to tap into that intrinsic motivation is to connect your goals to your values and your interests.
So it's got to be something you actually care about.
Exactly. And think about your need for autonomy, competence, and relatedness.
Okay, break those down for me.
Autonomy is about having control over your actions. Competence is that feeling of being capable and achieving goals, and relatedness is about connecting with others who share similar interests.
Those like finding your tribe.
Exactly. And when those psychological needs are met, your drive naturally increases.
Okay, now I want to talk about that feeling of being stuck in overthinking mode.
Oh, analysis paralysis.
Yeah, that's the one what causes that.
Well, it's often rooted in fear of failure.
Makes sense. You're so afraid of making the wrong decision that you end up making no decision at all.
Exactly. Or it could be information overload.
You're just drowning in information.
Right. You're researching and you never actually take action.
So how do we break free from that?
Well, our sources suggest setting deadlines for decisions.
So you're forced to make a choice.
Exactly, and limit your information gathering.
Don't go down the research rabbit hole.
And most importantly, accept good enough.
The perfectionism trap.
We got to remember that progress beats perfection every time.
Done is better than perfect.
Exactly.
And all those consistent small actions, those habits we've been talking about, they really form the bedrock of success, don't they?
They absolutely do.
It's like you're building a solid foundation brick by brick.
And don't forget to celebrate those small victories along the way.
Yes, those little wins are so important.
They help to reinforce those new patterns in your brain.
It's like giving your brain a high five.
I love that.
Okay, so we've talked about habits, motivation. Now let's talk about mental strength.
All right, let's get tough.
Because let's be real, willpower is a finite resource.
Right? It's like that's tired.
So we need to build discipline.
Discipline is key. It's about making conscious choices that are aligned with your goals.
And the good news is, strong habits make discipline a lot easier.
They do, because you're not relying on willpower alone.
It's like you're automating those good decisions.
Exactly.
Now, what about setbacks? Because they're inevitable, right?
Oh, absolutely. Everyone faces setbacks.
So how do we deal with them in a way that builds mental strength?
Well, instead of viewing setbacks as failures, we need to see them as learning opportunities.
So it's like reframing those negative experiences.
Exactly. And this is where a growth mindset comes in.
Tell me more about that.
A growth mindset is the belief that your abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work.
So it's not about being fixed in your ways, it's about being open to learning and growing.
Exactly. And just as important as a growth mindset is self-compassion.
Be kind to yourself.
Yes, be kind to yourself during this process of change.
Don't beat yourself up when you make a mistake.
Exactly, because that negative self-talk is not helpful.
Okay, so we've talked about mindset. What about our environment?
Ah, the environment. Yes, we need to optimize our surroundings to support our goals.
So what does that look like in practical terms?
Well, first, minimize those distractions.
Both physical and digital.
Yes, so declutter your workspace, silence your notifications, Maybe even use website blockers if you need to.
Anything else?
Don't underestimate the power of social connections.
Oh, our support system.
Exactly. Having accountability partners or supportive friends and family can make a huge difference.
It's like having your own personal cheer squad.
And finally, remember that a healthy work-life balance is crucial.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. You need to take care of yourself both mentally and physically in order to sustain your energy and focus.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. And I think the main takeaway is that improving concentration and consistency is not about a quick fix.
It's a journey.
It's a journey of understanding yourself and applying evidence-based techniques.
And it's a journey worth taking.
It is. And remember, start small, be patient, and gradually integrate these strategies.
You don't have to do everything at once.
Exactly. Just pick one or two things to focus on and go from there.
And remember, you absolutely have the ability to sharpen your focus and build lasting consistency.
This has been so insightful.
I'm glad you think so.
I think this leaves us with one final provocative thought for our listeners.
Oh, I like that.
Considering everything we've discussed, how intentionally are you structuring your daily routines and your immediate surroundings to actively support the focus and achievement you're striving for?
That's a great question.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the biggest changes come from the smallest shifts in our environment.
And the way we structure our day.
Exactly. It's all about setting yourself up for success.
I couldn't agree more.
Well, this has been an awesome deep dive.
I've really enjoyed it.
I'm so glad.
Until next time.
See you then.
Bye.